At this point in time, I would like to call up Mr. Ndeulipula Hamutumwa.
Thank you very much, Director of Ceremony. Let me rest on the protocol that was established by the Director of Ceremony, but I just want to single out and respect our seniors that are here, who made time to be here. Unfortunately, they are not growing old. Katusha looks 16. Meme Sophia looks 16. General looks 16. So they're still fit. So we just want to recognize them. Director of Ceremony, let me break the tradition of the culture of how welcoming remarks are done. I'm doing this first and foremost by appreciating the privilege that was bestowed to me to deliver this assignment. But at the same time, as some of us as scholars and historians of the party, it's always important just to steal an opportunity to say one or two. I wanted to talk about two things that I think are important for this gathering, so that at least when we leave here, we are fulfilled with knowledge that will be shared, but at the same time also ensure that the Congress was very fruitful. The first one is the issue around defending the Namibian revolution. That's the first one. And then the second one that I'll talk about the issue of bringing or closing the gap between NECA and all the revolutionary formation under the wing of SWAPO. Director of Ceremony, let me start. When we gather here, we must recognize that times have changed. When NECA was formed, events have changed, and that more than ever is NECA required to become a defender of the Namibian revolution. This is so if we are ever to remain relevant, first as a party, as well as an organization. We have seen over many years that the party has been under serious attack. But it's the responsibility that NECA works closely with institutions such as, or organizations such as the SWAPO Party Youth League and many other structures of the party to defend the Namibian revolution. You can only achieve that if you are disciplined, you are organized, and that you work together as a team. So, Director of Ceremony, the second one is really about relevance. During the Congress of 2012, this is what Nas Angola said, and I quote, "For any organization to move forward, they need to have correct attitude and mindset. The correct attitude should encourage you to develop confidence in yourself, because if not, then you are twice defeated in the race of life. With confidence, you have won even before you have started. Therefore, the unity that was championed by our forefathers and leadership of our political SWAPO revolution is more relevant to our economic revolution." Katusha continues, "You must henceforth reach beyond yourself and strive to sacrifice for the benefit of others. Namibia needs you, but we need youth that are prepared and ready to take up the Namibian revolution." End of quote. I cannot emphasize more, colleagues, that NECA needs to reinvent itself if they are to defend the Namibian revolution. There is no difference between NECA and the aspiration of the SWAPO party. If I read the constitution of NECA, that is really to ensure that the history of that is defended. You can only defend a revolution if you begin to record your history. The challenge that we find ourselves, colleagues, amidst the party and NECA is that unfortunately we do not record our history. That is why we find ourselves in our organization fighting, because we have no point of reference. We have no point of reference, and we forget too quickly because we are not recording our history. Every day we have seen, Director of Ceremony, that we have so many of our leaders that are passing, going on in their graves with a long history of this glorious movement. We can be in this conference, and if we are not recording our history, there is no way we are going to defend the revolution. So we must record our history so that history can be told by facts. Listen to a history of Shali during the same Congress. And it's not recorded. Some of us, we take notes. Shali says, "I'm proud of what my generation has achieved. Despite the suffering and sacrifice made, we did so well through the rank and the file of SWAPO. We fought well. I was only 19 old when I left Namibia to join the liberation struggle, after having joined SWAPO Party Youth League in 1971. At 23, I was already a member of the Military Council and its wing, and the only secretary for 12 years. At 26, I was the Plan Chief of Operation and remained so until we returned home in 1989. He was only 35. This is the history, colleagues, that I'm talking about, that if we are unable to record our history, we will never be able to celebrate the works and the achievement by those that have paved our ways. Therefore, colleagues, let me conclude by welcoming everybody here to this historical gathering. May this gathering be a festival of ideas, where we can debate robust ideas so that we reinvent ourselves. Because history records champions by those that talks hard issues and those that they do not fear to talk about issues that are relevant to society. So we welcome our senior leadership that are on the high table. We welcome everybody here. Feel free to this Congress. And rest assured that whatever comes out here should be something that we record as just another chapter in our history. As I conclude, Director of Ceremony, if you allow me, on the 2nd of July 2009, while addressing a press conference at the SWAPO party, the Secretary, Dr. Elia Ngurare, the Secretary then of the SWAPO party, said the following: "We should therefore be uncompromising and patriotically stubborn when we defend our Namibian revolution. We must ensure that whatever we do, we must always champion the plight of our people when it comes to empowering our people, when it comes to educating our youth, when it comes to addressing the plight of the orphans and the vulnerable, when it comes to addressing the plight of our elderly, when it comes to defending our national interest, security, and sovereignty of our country. Quite simple, Ngurare say, SWAPO is the people, and the Namibian people will always remain SWAPO." End of quote. Long live NECA, long live. Long live SWAPO. Viva SWAPO. Aluta. A Victoria. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ndeulipula, for those wise words. Ndeulipula mentioned two things that stood out for me: recording our history. And one thing I would like to applaud Ndeulipula for is that he actually did that already. He wrote a book, I think it was 2 years ago, that he launched it in 2019 called Pioneer. It's basically titled Pioneer because he was a SWAPO pioneer as a child. The other thing he mentioned, and we were having a conversation about this just before the proceedings, is that NECA needs to reinvent itself. When people hear the word NECA, or they hear of the organization NECA, they say, when are these people going to stop calling themselves kids? Yes, we are no longer kids, we're actually adults. And we need to defend the Namibian revolution. And NECA still remains relevant in that cause. And that's why we invited the SWAPO Party Youth League here and the Secretary General here to show them that we have to work together to defend the Namibian revolution.